Ma'am,
Not all. I'm
ma'am,
going to. Yes.
ma'am
Yes.
would a military come under public?
Yes. So that's a public sector. Yes.
And ma'am, what
Defense.
a
Defense will
okay.
come. Defense comes under public sector only. It's for social welfare, for country security, right? So it is public sector only. The government has control over it. Okay.
Yes.
So let's see. Yes. So why India is a
Ma'am,
mixed
and the
economy?
NGOs come in a private or a social sector?
NGOs are
Private.
non-governmental organizations. It
Yes.
is there in the definition, in the abbreviation itself. Yes,
Yes.
non-governmental organization, but NGOs are also set up under rules and regulations of government. So government has a complete authority to check about its functioning, having audits, all those things. Okay, so they have to keep their paperwork up to date, right?
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
so India, why is India a mixed economy? Is it a mixed economy or not? Yes, India is a mixed economy because both the private and the public sectors coexisted in, right? We have had three industrial policies, 1948, 1956, and then of 1991. So all the industries which are set up, they are set up according to the norms that are set by the government under these industrial policies. Okay, the basic and heavy. Are you not writing down, Ronak? I can't see you people writing down. I said I have given you a question on this. Why India is a mixed economy?
Ma'am, I am taking screenshot and after.
Don't take screenshots, Ronak. Screenshots are not allowed. Write down. Okay. Okay. All the basic and heavy industries I told you, like coal, like petroleum, like electricity, all these are with the government, right? Private sector ownership and private ownership is there, but the government controls it through its industrial policies, its monetary policies, and fiscal policies. I told you in the last class what are monetary policies and fiscal policies. That means through the control of money through RBI and through taxes, direct indirect taxes and sales taxes, government puts a control over these private sectors. Okay, from 1951 we have adopted economic planning in India. So everything is done. There is a central planning authority which plans the resource allocation. Okay, prices to a level are determined through market mechanism. That means in the market, depending on the demand and supply of a particular commodity, the prices are determined, but that is overseen by the government. Yes, I told you the government does not allow prices to go below a certain limit and does not allow the price to go above a certain limit. Okay, so the price mechanism is always between those limits, right? The price mechanism works where depending on the demand and supply, the way it works in the capitalist economy, right? They are totally based on price mechanism. Depending on demand and supply, price is fixed, right?
And
But
ma'am,
in
circumstances also, no ma'am?
yes,
According to
circumstances
the
also, yes, that is what I am saying. It is always under the government's control. Okay, it will not allow. There are minimum fixed prices for everything, for every good. So the government fixes those prices. You cannot go below it, and there is a fixed price. You cannot go above it. So it arrests inflation also, right? Inflation is rising prices in the economy. Okay.
and ma'am, if someone sells it at a higher price, then it is called a black money.
No, it black money is not that. Black money is when you are not showing transactions. Why does everybody, why do you see these advertisements when they say you should always take a receipt of the transaction, right? Because receipt of a transaction is a written note. Okay, when these shopkeepers, when these salesperson give you a receipt, nowadays it is said use more of plastic money because it is recorded what you have spent on what you have spent, and the shopkeepers also have a recorded entry that they have sold this, right? So on that basis they have to pay the sales tax. Now if they do not give you a receipt, I don't know if you have seen it, it happens, they said we will not give you the receipt, and give you a rebate of 10% if you don't take the receipt. Why? Because that money which they are taking without the receipt is not a recorded transaction. Okay, so if suppose a thing,
So it's
if
black
they,
money.
that becomes a black money when it is not a recorded transaction. You don't, it's and record black money, black transactions, these always happen in cash, because cash does not have a recorded transaction. Okay, so whenever you buy at shops, why governments are always advertising take receipt for your transaction, because then it becomes a transaction which is recorded. So accordingly government can levy taxes on their sales. Okay, now those were the features that why India is a mixed economy. But having the best of both capitalism and socialism, India still has not achieved that kind of economic development that it should achieve in the past 70 years. That means mixed economy also has had its failures in India. Now, why did we have these failures? There are reasons for this, right? We have not achieved these desired objectives. The economic growth which is expected out of India for past 70 years. We have been free for 70 years, right? That has not been achieved. Why not? These are the failures, right? Poverty elevation has not happened. Economic disparity is still there. There is still a large difference between the rich and the poor, right? There is in some sectors, private sector monopoly, right? Monopoly means one person ruling the market. On some commodities, there are big business houses. Reliance is there, right? Tatas are there. These big houses which have monopoly over the market for their product, right? Public sector, all these public sectors, if you read the economic times or you go it through their this thing, they have been incurring heavy losses. But because these are public sectors, we cannot close them. If you have heard in the last 3-4 years, government has tried to privatize some of these public sectors, right? Why? Because they are incurring heavy losses. Railways, transport is incurring losses. Our aviation industry is incurring losses, right? But you cannot shut them down because these are public sectors. So why has this happened? Now, there are reasons why this has happened. Okay, why has this happened? Give me reasons why this has happened.
Ma'am, because of some economic loss.
Economic loss is always there because we are not properly efficient. Management is not happening. Why is this happening?
Ma'am, maybe not enough control over the industries.
Not enough control or not exercising that control. Yes.
Yes.
Right. When we learned about socialism, there was one word that we learned: red tapeism. Remember? Do you remember red tapeism? I explained to you what is red tapeism.
Yes, ma'am.
What is red tapeism? What is red tapeism? Melvin, what is red tapeism? Explain what is red tapeism.
Ma'am, it's something where you don't have, ma'am, you don't take a good control of your economy, and it goes, and you inquire a lot of losses.
When I told you red tapeism, I said there is lot of red tapeism in the public sector. That means proper on time decisions are not taken. The files keep on moving from one desk to another, right? And in India, we have a lot of red tapeism, right? On time decisions are not given because the ball is always in each other's court. This is not my job, this is your job. This was not my job, this was that section's job. Okay, so a lot of red tapeism is there.
But this thing mostly takes place in government.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. See, when the public sector is working properly, we never said there is a problem in private sector. Private sector is earning well. It is the public sectors which are going in loss, right? And why the public sectors are always with the government. When the government is functioning properly, it is only then there can be a proper control over the private sector, right? I gave you the names of we have few business houses which have big name and they have a monopoly over the market, right? Like I gave you Mahindra, Tatas, Reliance. These all have monopoly in their respective fields, right? So these are big houses which should not happen. Private ownership should always be under the aegis of the government. Government control should be there. Other things in other private sector, if we see, lot of excessive control is there. Entry of the into the market, which sectors you can enter in the market. So some places the government has to exercise more control, and some places it has to lift control, right? There is a lot of after 91, after we started liberalization, lot of things have changed, but still there is excessive control over the private sector. Now if you liberalize the private sector, because they have private motive, they will efficiently use their resources. Okay. Second is, we should increase the efficiency of public sector. I told you public sector in India are all incurring major losses, so we need to increase the efficiency of public sector. And how can that efficiency be increased? If there is a competition between the private and the public sector. Now in private sector, because it is profit motive, they will have resource allocation and efficient work in everything, capital formation also, labor also, they will all have efficient working. But private public sector does not have. It is a government job. You know, whether I do this work or I don't do this work, whether I delay it for 4 days, nobody is going to kick me out of the job. I have my job security. Okay, so efficiency suffers in public sector, so that should be seen to it. All these, if the government takes care of, then we can increase our efficiency, we can have a faster rate of economic growth, we can have better social justice. That means the income disparities that we have, that can load up. Other than that, there is widespread poverty in India. Education is not what it should be. The education levels have not reached. Still 50% of our people are involved in agriculture, which is not the case in capitalism. When we further read about the economies, you will see there are so many problems still that are there after 70 years also. So all these, if tackled, we can grow at a much faster rate. Okay, is this clear now
Yes,
to
ma'am.
all? So
Yes,
this was a classification which was based on nature of economic activities. Okay, now we will do another classification which is based on,
Ma'am,
yes,
ma'am,
yes,
but why is government not able to like look after the private sectors?
government also has its own problems. Politics, lot of politics, people are self-motivated. Politics is always self-motivated. It is not social justice, right? If people work towards, out of the 50 people who work, only 10% would be working for social justice, rest 40% are working for their self-interest. Yes. So
Only.
until and unless their self-interest is not removed from the society, this is not going to happen. And there is so much of backwardness, still we have so much of unemployment, illiteracy in India. The growth rate is so high, the birth rate is so high, right? Health and
Yes, ma'am.
sanitation is not provided properly. Still there are villages which are not connected to the banking sector. Infrastructure is not proper. There are
Ma'am, so
economic,
can we say that India is still developing? That's why it
yes,
is not
yes,
able.
India is still in that. We are going coming to that only now. India is still into that zone.
ma'am.
It has not, wait just a second, it has not received that kind of economic development that it should have received, but it is progressing. Yes, Ved.
Ma'am, but now, ma'am, there's some 70% literacy rate in India. So,
Yes,
ma'am, that's
now, yes, it is increasing. It is increasing, right? It is increasing. There is no doubt. We have made rapid strides in 70 years, but not that much. See, India and China started together. Where China is standing and where India is standing, there are a lot of disparities in that. Okay, we'll in the next part we are going to do this only. Okay.
Ma'am, but it is said that a person is said to be literate when he or she learns to write his name.
Yes. See, literacy is different from being educated. Okay, literacy means to be able to read and write. To be able to read and write, we can achieve 100% literacy, but that does not mean it is education and skill development. Education and skill development only can increase your efficiency. So along with literacy, we need education also. There is a difference between the word literacy and education. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now let's move to the next part. I have told you this classification was based on the type of economic activities that happen in an economy, or it was based on the ownership of resources. We can say both ways. Okay. Now the next that we are going to do a classification. This is classification based on the economic development of that region. Okay. So we are just, so now we are going to do a classification which is based on, now sir, remember what kind of classification is asked. Today's worksheet that I am putting, I have asked it on the basis of this, how will you classify? So see what is given and then classify accordingly. Okay. So on the basis of level of economic development, economies can be again divided into three. Okay. Those three are developed economy, underdeveloped economy, and developing economy. Okay. So now we are going to learn depending on these. What kind of economies are these? What are developed economies? What are underdeveloped economies? And what are developing economies? Okay. So we'll first start with developed economies. Now, developed economies are those economies as per the definition. These are those economies which enjoy very high levels of per capita income and high standard of living. Now, who can tell me what is per capita income?
Ma'am, ma'am, income per month.
No,
Ma'am, or high income?
no. I have written high levels of per capita income.
Ma'am,
What is per capita income?
Ma'am, the income
Yes,
that they
Rana.
earn from,
Income that they earn from?
ma'am, the public and public
No.
sectors.
No. Yes, Rana.
ma'am, by working the the salaries, uh, what is called rising.
No. What is per capita income? Who else? Neha? Per capita income? No? Ria?
Ma'am, the income which they earn monthly.
Income monthly? No. Who earns? What is
Ma'am.
they? What is they? Per
Ma'am.
capita? Yes?
Ma'am, ma'am, maybe, ma'am, maybe it's the average income that a person earns.
Yes.
Like in
It is
India,
the
something.
average income a person earns in a particular area. Right? And
Area.
how is that calculated? It is calculated by the total national income divided by the total population of that country. Okay. And total national income is seen through the GDP, gross domestic product, which is the total output in a year, total production that of goods and services that happens in a particular year. Right? If I'm talking about the last year, 1920, what was the total production of goods and services that happened in terms of money? Okay, that is your national GDP. That national GDP, when divided by the total population of our country, gives the per capita income. That means it's an average income of a household. Okay, the average income of a household per annum. It is a yearly based, not monthly. Okay, so average income of an yearly. So for a developed economy, these have a very high levels of per capita income, right? And when your income levels are high, your standard of living is also high, right? So by definition, developed economies are those economies which enjoy a high levels of per capita income and a high level of standard of living. Okay. And I have already told you that individual standard of living is measured by their income, right? I have told you per capita income is the average income earned by a person in a specific year, which means that area's total income, or if we are talking about nation, it's the national GDP divided by its total population, right? So under the developed economies, we have US, Japan, Germany, Canada. These come under the developed economies. Now, why are these known as developed economies? What is so special about them, right? So there are some features of developed economy. Let's start with one by one. Okay. The first, I have already told you, they have a high level of per capita income. That means the average income, average annual income of a household is high, right? High. If they have high levels of income, they have high consumption levels also. Obviously, when your income increases, your consumption also increases. That means the things that you are buying consumer products, that also increases. When that increases, your standard of living also increases. You have proper houses, you have proper savings also, because you have income levels high, right? So according to World Development Report of 2013, developed countries, they earn $14,476 or more as their per capita income, right, per annum. US has 50,120. It's its national average per capita income. Okay, whereas see India, it is only 1,530. Look at the comparison of their per capita income. Can you see? Are you writing it down or just looking at the screen? Okay, ma'am will post this answers. You have to make your notes also, na? So you should make the notes here only, so that your work is less. Yes. So can you see the income disparity between both the countries? US has more than 50,000 per annum per household is earning. Yes. Wherein in terms of dollars, wherein India only earns $1,530 per annam. Okay. So
Ma'am,
look
but
at,
now it might be increased.
this is 2013. It has not increased much. In 2015-16 also it's not increased that much. Okay. This is okay. High levels of per capita income, right? This is the first feature of a developed economy. The second feature of the developed economy is predominance of industrial and service sectors, right? That means when we have not done that. In India, if we compare it to India, what happens is we have a predominance of the primary sector. When we were doing the sectors of Indian economy, we did primary, secondary and tertiary, three sectors. Yes. In a developed economy, the secondary and the tertiary sector, they have a predominance over the primary sector. That means hardly any 3%, 4%, that would be the amount of people who would be contributing from that sector towards the national economy. Okay, the primary sector's contribution towards the national income is very less, and most of the contribution is done by the service sectors and the large sectors, the industrial sector, that is your tertiary and the secondary sector. So why is that a problem? Tell me. If instead of the secondary and the tertiary sector, maximum amount of national income is contributed by the primary sector, why should that be a problem?
Ma'am, that's a problem because, ma'am, the secondary and tertiary sectors are the one that increase the economy of a country.
Yes, it increases the national income and the production of a country. Yes, we learned about capital formation, the four factors of production, right? In that we learned that capital formation should be there to increase the economic growth and development of the country, right? So if that capital formation happens where? In the secondary and the tertiary sectors, not the primary sector. Primary sector is that sector which is land and labor, right? So when primary sector is contributing to your national income, it is the land and labor. And in a country like India, where we have lot of labor and less of land, that means our labor is not efficiently being used. Yes, because their contribution is low, national income is low. Okay, so when you see at the developed countries, they have a more contribution from the secondary and the tertiary sectors towards the national income rather than from the primary sector, right? Major part of their national income comes from the industrial sector and not the primary sector. See, I've given you example also. Contribution of agriculture is very low. In USA, towards the national income, it is only 3%. Only 3% of national income is contributed by the primary sector, right?
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am, what is AGR?
Agriculture.
Okay.
Contribution of agriculture is very low, right? In USA, it is only 3%. It only contributes 3% of the national income. In England, it is 2%, right? And India, how much is it? How much is it?
28%.
18%.
18%. 18% of national income still comes from agriculture. Okay. Now, contribution of industry in, see this I have given you a table, the contribution of industry. This Indus I have written, this is industries. Okay. Industries contribution in national income. In Japan, industries contribute towards 43% of national income, right? France, it is 47%. In India, it is only 28%. Okay. So in developed economies, the contribution of industries is more, right? Clear to all of you? That means there is more of capital
Yes, ma'am.
development, more of capital formation. That means more. Yes, Ronak. Yes, Ronak.
Ma'am, we have to rejoin the class.
Don't rejoin the class. We'll have a 40-minute class only, right? Because after that you need to have break also.
Yes.
How much time is left? 1:56. No? So we can do one more.
Ma'am, 4
Now,
minutes.
how many minutes?
4 minutes.
It's showing 4 minutes. Mine
Ma'am,
is showing 1.5 minutes only. All of you are showing 4 minutes.
No, ma'am. It's showing 1
1
minute.
minute, no? ठीक है. It's 1 minute. We'll do one more. So third is full exploitation of resources. Okay. Whatever resources for a developed country, whatever resources are available with them, they have fully exploited it. That means they are working at the maximum efficiency. Okay. Labor is working at its maximum efficiency. The machines that you have, they have new technology, new types of machines, and everything is helping to achieve maximum efficiency. If it is a natural resource, that is land, mines, forest, whatever comes in natural resources, they are at their maximum. Okay. More than that efficiency cannot be achieved. And when you receive maximum efficiency, that means you are producing more with less amount. That is what efficiency is. Yes or no? If you can do a work in 1 hour, and if you are at your maximum efficiency, you can finish that work in half an hour. So that half an hour is producing more instead of 1 hour. Yes? Yes or no? So in developed countries, they have reached their maximum efficiency. That means whatever can be produced at its maximum, they are using the resources to that maximum. Okay. Whether it is natural, whether it is physical, that is machines and raw materials, or whether it is human resources, that is the manpower, all are working at their full levels of efficiency. Okay.